I've told the story a few times about the first time when I came to Bali and how I thought I was quite adventurous by walking a really long way up Jalan Legian and getting from Kuta up into the southern parts of Legian, northern parts of Kuta. And when I talked about it recently, it got me thinking about Legian outside of the tourist zones, because I've always gone in Legian to the beach or, you know, up Garlic Lane and all that sort of stuff, but I've never really explored the eastern side of Jalan Legian. I've been through there on the motorbike and I know it's quite local style and a lot of local people living there. I just wanted to have a bit of a walk around today and show you what it's like. The first place that I'm coming to is actually a really big market. Yeah, this one is called Pasar Desa Adat Legian. So yeah, we know the word Pasar is market and the Desa Adat is the traditional village. It's not really the administrative area, it's the one that's more tied to the traditional village. And this is their market, so we're going to go have a look, see what it's like inside. I'm sure some of you have been down here before because it's that sort of place, it seems. We'll have a bit of a look around and see if there's any fresh food going on. It looks to be like a little food market here. Oh yeah, dude that is selling aneka gorengan, all sorts of fried stuff. 1,000 per piece, fixed price. That looks pretty cool actually. Look at these ones. Oh, tahu isi, we have tempe goreng, we have tahu goreng, pisang goreng yang enak sekali pastinya. And it's all being fried fresh over there, look at it. Beautiful, beautiful. A really amazing snack, fried snack. It's one of the worst things you can do for your body probably, but it just tastes so good. This dude's doing a bit of satay, pork. Satay babi, yeah.
Fish.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, pork. The same in pork.
Pork, that's pork. Yeah. This one's
fish.
Fish. Which one's fish?
Tuna.
Where? This one? Pepes?
Yeah.
Oh, pepes ikan, yeah. Pork satay and pepes ikan. Pepes ikan is that one that's always wrapped in the banana leaf and it's chopped up into pieces and it's got a bit of spice on top of it. It's really good pepes. I mean, most people who have been to Bali have had pepes before. A little veggie supplier over here. I'll actually go into the main market area as well. Yeah, but at a place like this, oh, here we go. In the back of the market, it's a huge hall. Oh, look at that. That's a nice design too. Look at this shape of that. Is that like a little rice barn shape? It looks like it, doesn't it? I really don't like the meat sections in here. Like, I just don't like it, but you've got to walk through them sometimes, actually. Oh, look at that sausage there. Those sausages look really good. There's lots of fishy, chickens, there's lots of veggies. It's a really big market, actually. Oh, they've got the tempeh, fresh tempeh. Here, the ones in the blocks. Lots of little snacks here. You can get fresh food, so you can get it to take home with you. I wonder if they've got jajanan pasar here. They normally would do, you know, all those little market snacks. I'll have a little bit of a look around. Oh, here we go, I can see it over here already. Look at this. All this jajanan pasar.
Jajanan pasar.
Lots of good ones. Yeah, you know, dadar gulung and what else we got? Oh, lots of different ones. Ketan hitam. Apa lagi ya? Lots of different cakes here. And then you've got that one wrapped there in banana leaf. So I actually don't know the names of them all off the top of my head, because one of the problems is with jajanan pasar is that they're really similar to one another. And if you say the wrong one, like if I say pukis and it's not pukis, or if I say Kuala Lumpur and it's actually a different type, someone in the comments, some expert in jajanan pasar is going to say, actually, you got that wrong. I've got a fair idea of what each one is, but I won't say them all because I'm going to get it wrong for sure. It's actually pretty cool. Hello. All right, a bit of ginger. That looks like turmeric over there. Is that ginger though? I don't even know, because that looks like ginger as well. Two different ones. Maybe it's I don't know. Sometimes I get those rhizomes all mixed up because they can look quite similar, and unless you're like using them a lot, which I don't, you get them mixed up like galangal and there's lesser galangal, the chikur. There's a nice sign up there saying from the 2019 tidak menyediakan kantong plastik, but that's not true because there's heaps of plastic bags here. So some people might not be menyediakan them, but you can get a plastic bag here, even though there's a rule that says you're not allowed to, and they've even got a big sign saying, hey, buyers, don't expect a plastic bag here, you don't get them. But that implementation sort of problem is still all over Indonesia. It's not a Bali thing. All over Indonesia, you've got some really good rules which are never implemented, honestly. Going to carry on down this road. This road sort of runs along the river. There's a little river here in Legian. Goes all the way south and spits out on the east coast, I think, across the bypass. Like it cuts across the bypass somewhere. And I'll show you. Here it is. I mean, if that could be beautified and cleaned up a little bit, I mean, that'd be a pretty nice place to walk along. There are parts actually in Bali where rivers like this, and I'm not sure if it's this exact one, have already been beautified a little bit so you can walk alongside them. It's happened throughout a lot of cities in Indonesia where they're trying to just, you know, clean up some of the rivers and make them places that for recreation a little bit. Okay, so this is a coffee shop called Ruby's House. Just gonna have a quick coffee. This looks like a really nice little cafe, doesn't it? So the thing is with those markets, obviously they open very early, and the earlier you get there, just have a bit of a look around, the better. I think it's a pretty good market to go and have a look around if you're staying in Legian. But also, this coffee shop opens at 7, but I'm here before 7 o'clock, so it must open a little bit earlier sometime. And it looks like a nice little place to get a bite to eat as well as a little coffee. Sadly, not that many customers. I sort of find that, I don't know, some of the places that I really love don't really get the customers. I don't know, maybe it's, I don't know why. Maybe I'm liking places that are not really that good or people don't really like, I don't know. But it always seems to happen. I always go to these places, not so many people, but I actually quite like them. Okay, there's the coffee. Let's check it out. Okay, I'm not going to complain about being hot this time. Yeah, pretty good flavour. Not a bad coffee here at Ruby's. Now, if you're in the area going to the market and you're here early, just nick over here, have a coffee. It's the way to go. I really like that place. I'm just going to have a bit of a walk down this river, see if I can find anything interesting down here, and then I might chop over to the main street, Jalan Legian, and see what's going on there. Maybe even go down to the beach, see how I go. For time, I remember back in the day, when I say back in the day, maybe 15 years ago, a lot more apartment style things were being built around Legian and Kuta as the place became more dense and there was more desire for sort of denser living arrangements. You know, this sort of stuff, you know? I mean, it's a hotel, Fairfield by Marriott, but I remember there was a lot of, well, yeah, apartment style accommodation. I wonder if that's sort of happening more and more as well. It hasn't really sort of happened in Sanur yet, which is a little bit strange because property prices sort of would demand that. You would normally find you get a bit of density and you can, you know, compete on price. Geez, it's a beautiful morning down here in Legian. I actually wouldn't mind living in an apartment. I've actually lived in quite small accommodation at different points in my life. I've lived in like caravans before for long periods of time. I've lived in those little caravan park cabins before when I've been doing seasonal work. It's not my like lifetime goal to live in a caravan park forever, but I do it and I don't think it's terrible. Of course, long term you probably want more room than that. I've lived in, like I once lived in an Airbnb style place during COVID when I was in Australia for quite a while. It was like a 2-bedroom place that was really cheaply built, but furnished very well and done quite nicely. All the fittings and fixtures were really nice. And that was just perfect for me. Like the size of it was like maybe the size of 3 caravans, that sort of size. Perfect little unit type thing. Out in the bush it was in Australia. Love that place. I'd be quite happy to live in anything like that. And I'm just surprised there's not more of those styles of places here in Bali. Like you have kos-kosan, which is your single room, which is generally really quite budget. And if you're on a budget, they're great to live in. But then the next sort of step up is quite expensive, and that middle ground I don't think is serviced so well. And I think that's generally historically due to locals either owning their own place with a big block of land or needing a kos-kosan, and then foreigners getting the best place they can get for their money. And in the past, that's usually allowed them to get a nice big house, whereas I'm sure there's a lot of retirees these days that sort of want to pay the 5 to 7 million per month mark, and there's not a lot of those properties available. There are some, and I know some of them in Sanur for sure, but there's not a heap of them, to be honest, and I reckon there's a big market for it. There's a good word that I often use here in Indonesia, and a lot of people would use it as well. It's called tinggal, and tinggal is that double G with an N there, so it's a hard G. It's not tinggal, tinggal. And that means to live. It actually means to live or stay, but I don't think you hear the usage of stay very much. Like if someone says tinggal, it's sort of like more permanent usually. But I think it can mean stay as well. I mean, that's probably the official translation. So the way you would use it is, because we know the word I is saya, you can say saya tinggal di. You remember di is in, on or at. Saya tinggal di Sydney. You can say, or you can ask someone where do you live, and you can simply say tinggal di mana, live in where. And that's cool. Warung di Joglo, that looks like a nice little place. Joglo is that sort of Javanese style old wooden house that they don't use nails on. Yeah, tinggal di mana? Saya tinggal di Sydney. There's a word for when you're staying at a place for a short period of time, and it's called inap. And so the verb is menginap. So you can actually say, saya menginap di Sanur Hyatt Regency. You could say that, yeah? The thing is, because when you say saya menginap da-da-da-da, there's no time reference, because you don't know if that person's saying, I did stay there before, I will stay there, or I am staying there. I might just turn down here. Jalan Padma Timur. So you can actually put a qualifier on that to give a reference of time. Like in English, when we do that, you say I stayed, I will stay, I am staying. That verb, the staying, changes depending on the time. But in Indonesian, it doesn't change. So the way you do it, you need to put a word in front of it. So for example, currently the word for currently is sedang, yeah? There is an informal way to say it that you'll learn in time, but sedang is the correct way to say I'm currently staying. So saya sedang tinggal di Sanur. But you can say in the past, if you want to say I did stay there, or I have already stayed there, saya sudah tinggal di sana. If you want to say will, saya akan tinggal di Sanur. Yeah, so those words will have already, you can even say I have ever. So one of the things that Indonesians get wrong, I just wait for this car to come past, otherwise I get bowled over. So one of the things that people get wrong is that we have the word never, but we don't really have the word ever said like I have ever stayed somewhere. So Indonesians will often translate it to I have ever stayed somewhere. And what they're really trying to say is saya pernah tinggal di Sanur. I have at some point already stayed there. Because the opposite to that is saya tidak pernah. I have never stayed in Sanur. Saya tidak pernah tinggal. Saya tidak pernah menginap di Sanur. Yeah? Very careful with that P as well. You hear how I said menginap? Don't do that, that's wrong. It's menginap. Try and not aspirate that P. It's as I said before, like that's a lifelong challenge to get all this right. Like I know how to speak the language properly because I've been taught it formally, but putting it into practice is a lifelong challenge. You're always picking yourself up on mispronunciations or little quirks that you introduce into the language. And I'll never be 100% fluent. I'll never sound 100% like a native. People will always be able to hear that I'm not a local, and that's okay. And we'll all go along that journey and never be perfect. We all get to different levels, but it's just a journey, which is really important. Continuous improving and understanding that, hey, sometimes I'm not going to get it right. This looks like one that a lot of people are going to know, Mick Dundee's bar. Everyone's going to know that. I don't, but it just feels like the type of place that a lot of people are going to know. So this is Jalan Padma up here, and this is the main road, Jalan Legian. I mean, it's dead as at the moment because we're here in the early morning, but I'm going to have a walk anyway. I might actually walk down Jalan Padma rather than Jalan Legian because it looks like there's nothing going on there. So I'll prefer to go down here. To be honest, I haven't been exploring on foot in Legian for such a long time. So I did one video where I explored the back streets, but really just cutting through the middle of it. And all these side streets, which I find to be quite interesting, and the sorts of places I used to hang out back in the old days, I haven't really reacquainted myself with it, and it looks pretty nice. Like, I kind of like the feel of it. It feels like the old days. I actually miss the old days down here, you know? Like, I just have such good memories of Kuta and Legian. I keep saying Kuta as well. That's the other thing I've been thinking about a little bit. I did that video where I said, stop saying Kuta. And like I say that on every video. I say Kuta, Kuta, Kuta when it should be Kuta. But anyway, I mean, that's part of the challenge, isn't it? How do you speak to a fellow Aussie or a fellow English speaker? Do you say it in an English speaking accent or do you say it in a local accent? Like, I've always find that quite challenging. And I mix it up actually. Half the time I'll use the Aussie accent, half the time I'll use the Indo accent. And it doesn't, I'm not really sure what the correct way to do that is. I'll just say however I feel like it, I guess. But if I'm speaking to Susan, I won't say, oh, Kuta. I won't say Nusa Dua. I'll say Nusa Dua. I'll say Kuta. But I don't know, making a video, it sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Kuta. Anyway, getting back to the story. I feel quite nostalgic about this whole area. Look at this big modern sports bar. Yeah, never used to have those back in the day. Used to be a little bit more run down than that. I used to love it. Used to love it back in the day. But I guess you're just a different person back in the day as well, aren't you? Like, you're a lot younger and... Well, these dogs are getting all upset. Yeah, you were a lot younger and you were into different things. So it sort of makes sense that you loved it the way it was. Well, that's cool. A place called Cucu with CH. So it's a churros place. But actually, it's come from the word cucu in Indonesia, which is C-U-C-U, which means grandchild. So that's another word you can learn. If you want to talk about grandchildren, say cucu. Cucu saya means my grandchild. Coming past Poses, I know that place gets really busy, especially as it gets to sort of like 3, 4 o'clock. That place gets really busy. I've been past there when there's heaps of people hanging out the front, watching life go by. There's the Padma. That's another one of those words that if I'm speaking to Susan, I won't say Padma, I'll say Padma. Yeah, there was a Padma hotel in Hotel Padma in Bandung as well, which was just one of the best hotels in town. And I know that hotel here in Legian has been one of the favourites of a lot of Aussies for a long time. It's got a good reputation, hasn't it? I'm not sure how it's faring these days, but I know back in the day, everyone used to say, oh, go to the Padma. This place looks pretty good, it's called Farmer's Daughter. I'm gonna go and try that one, get a coffee there. Look at those pastries. Okay, got myself a nice cappuccino and a panna Swiss. That looks really good. Let's give this coffee a go. Hope it's not a hot one. Oh, it's beautiful. I can already feel it. Good. Yeah, that's a good coffee. That's sort of my style, actually. So these panna Swiss, you know these things? I actually don't really like them a lot of the time because I find them to be a little bit too crunchy, but I'll give it a go anyway. That's good. Really buttery. I love this place. That's a good place, that one. Highly recommended. 86,700 for those two items. What I think is pretty good value. It's slightly more than I would pay in Sanur, like probably 10-15% more than I'd pay in Sanur for an equivalent type of thing, I think. People have said that in the past, that somewhere like Seminyak is quite expensive compared to Sanur, and yeah, I find that a little bit strange actually. Oh, the waves are looking good down here at the beach. I'll go and show you. That's the thing, God, there's a lot of surfers there too. So I'm not a surfer, so I'm not really sure how it's supposed to look, but it just looks pretty good now. It's about a 6 foot wave, I'd say, looking at those surfers going along there. Oh yeah, there's heaps of them out there. Most of them are around about there. Do you get many fights down here in Bali between the locals and the foreigners on the waves? That'd be pretty funny. It's actually really awesome down here in the morning at the beach. I really, it's actually for me the best time of the day to be down at the beach. I know a lot of people come down here for sunset because that's the thing you do in Bali, but for me, I don't know, there's something about the mornings that I really love. I find it to be a bit cooler as well, and it just looks so beautiful in the sunlight, like the way that the light reflects off the water on this side of Bali in the morning, just for me looks a bit better. It's just beautiful, just beautiful. Interesting, the Indonesian word for surfing is selancar, selancar. And what's interesting about that word is that if you take off the SE from the front of that word, you get the word lancar. And that means fluent or fluid, yeah, to be quite smooth. You can say like, oh, lancar ya bahasa Indonesianya. Yeah, no, you've got fluent Indonesian, you could say that. And yeah, so that's how you can remember selancar, because it's a very similar word to lancar. One of the things in Indonesian that gives you a lot of cred is your ability to use filler words. So this is Jalan Melasti, by the way, I'm just gonna go up here. Is your ability to, well yeah, jatuh. Is your ability to use filler words. And there are so many filler words in Indonesian, and knowing when to use them is very, very difficult. You can't be taught it, you've got to feel it. And I've almost zero foreigners that can use them properly. Only foreigners who grew up here or have lived here for an extremely long time get it right. And that includes me. I don't use filler words very well. I've got some filler words that I can use okay, but I can't use them all very well. And the filler words are things like si, S-I-H, apa si, yeah, ni. In some areas of Indonesia, you've got other fillers that aren't used everywhere. So you might use MAH, mah is one that is used in West Java. And there's a heap, like dong was the one that was being used a lot when I first moved to Indonesia. You don't hear dong as much. And to explain what they actually mean is impossible because they don't have specific meanings. They're used by feeling and to express a certain way that you're talking. When you start learning the language and you're speaking to someone and they start throwing in all these filler words, you've got to try and filter out all of those because you've got to try and get through to what they're really talking about by excluding all the filler words. One of the mistakes that we foreigners make when we're trying to use those filler words is that when you use them incorrectly, and we all do, usually what happens is people start trying to use them and they overuse them. And they'll be saying si all the time, and it just feels like you're trying too hard. It's a weird thing to explain, but you can just feel it. It's just not, you're not really feeling it, you're just throwing them in there because you think that's what you're supposed to do. Whereas a local, they really have the feel of the language and the colour and texture of it. And so even after all this time, there's only very few circumstances where I really feel comfortable using those filler words. I can't use them properly all the time because I'm just not good enough at the language. And most people will never be good enough. Most foreigners will never be good enough because you've got to be here from a very young age to really get that feeling, I think. Unless you're really like living in the village and you rarely interact with foreigners and you're here for like 20 years, you might get there. But gee, it's one of the most advanced parts of the language, I think. A lot of people say, oh, Indonesian's so easy. You know, and if you go by the rankings that some of the worldwide institutes put out, they say, oh, Indonesia's an easy language, but it's not. Like, Indonesian is not an easy language. It's a very difficult language to master. You can get the basics pretty quickly, but to master it, I mean, as I said, it's a lifelong journey. it's all pretty quiet on these streets of Legian at the moment. I mean, it seems that if you're going to be out and about, you're probably going to be down at the beach. And I reckon that's a pretty good idea because it was fantastic down there. Those markets are worth checking out as well. And that's about it for me today. Thanks for coming along for the ride here in some of the back streets of Legian, down to the beach, having a bit of a chat about what's going on in Indonesia at the moment and a bit of language as well. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sonora and the rest of Indonesia. I'll catch you next time, and sampai jumpa.